Hello guys and welcome back. Today we're checking out Infraspace, a city skylines come Dyson Sphere style factory city builder, and honestly I am pleasantly surprised at this game. It has just reached early access on Steam and was kindly sent through by Dionic Software for me to check out, and I'm glad they did, as this game has totally gone unnoticed by me. Speaking of which though, if you are interested in finding out more about this game, I'll place a link in the description below to the store page so that you can check it out. But enough chatting, let's get into it. For this we'll start off with a new save. Now each map is randomly generated, and upon arriving you can see you'll have a relatively large open map with half a dozen different resource nodes. We have iron, copper, sulfur and many more, including both uranium and aluminium, and don't worry, you'll also be balancing power and population, not to mention oxygen and various other things like food and consumer electronics. Well, you get the idea. It's a resource management sim pretty much. And as with all factory games, we'll be setting up the basic resources to get going first of all, then scale up resource production to keep up with product demand. So let's start off by building our first road for logistics, along with a sand and sulfur mine so that we can produce concrete. Then we need a wind turbine for power and a concrete factory so that we can start getting those resources in. And to make everything simpler, vehicles are color coded according to the resource that they carry, and you can easily see what each building is producing based on the icons on the top of the building. Something really nice for a game like this so that you can quick and easily see what's going on. And a nice addition to the production system is that buildings nearby that contribute to the local building's resource production actually give an adjacency, a bonus to the factory's efficiency. Just click on the factory and you can actually see the added adjacency bonuses in yellow. Here, for example, is my concrete factory, and it has a 24% efficiency bonus. And you should obviously make the most use of this as possible by carefully placing the buildings near to one another. The next thing that we need to do is build a habitat for our population, along with oxygen and a spaceport to bring in the new settlers. We'll need them for the jobs, which you can actually see nicely displayed in the bottom left of the screen. In the top left-hand corner, we also have the research tab, and now that we've started to grow our colony, we can actually use research to improve our production through unlocking new buildables. And hopefully at some point we'll be able to unlock that nuclear power plant. Now, as with a settlement management sim, if you don't have enough population for the jobs, you're going to lose efficiency, so you have to carefully balance it out. And I feel for an early access game, this is actually doing a great job at keeping the game balanced. And what I love to see is going over to the roadmap, you can actually see that they have plenty planned, with the various adopters of the game already voting for what they want to see next. So for example, unsurprising to most, there's trains and traffic lights at the top of this list, along with endgame projects, but there's also pipes for liquids and gases, as well as some other pretty cool stuff as well. Getting back to the game though, we're now going to build some farms to feed our population and to upgrade the habitat. But don't worry, we'll skip a bit more of the early game now so that you can actually see a bit more as to what the complexity is like later in the game. Now, as you can see, we're a little bit further into the game, having unlocked electronics and homewares to tier up our habitats. Now, there's a certain kind of warmth and beauty to this game's art style, and it's definitely a game that I vibe with. There are, however, a few little nuances or bugs, but the most problems that I've had to deal with though are just the roads being too close together, or accidentally placing down too many power poles. This doesn't break the game though, but does cause a little frustration when it happens, more often than one would like. Now at this point, most our habitats have turned to level 3 habitats. This is done by providing survival food from farms and home appliances made from electronics and iron. Now we have to get a total of 300 level 3 citizens to unlock the next tier. This is how the game it scales your community. You have to reach a certain population level and have a certain size of that population. And in this next tech level, we'll actually unlock computers, large mines, and highways for faster logistics, as well as some other things, which is becoming increasingly important with the steadily scaling traffic, and they're actually planning on adding more traffic to the game at a later stage as well, just to give us a bit more to stress about with. So if you want to put your mind to work, at this point you can actually organize your traffic by creating rules for your traffic at junctions, or use one-way roads. This will be super useful for newer sections of your factory, should you wish, allowing us to create, in theory, the perfect manufacturing parks, which we shall obviously attempt for the computers now that we've unlocked tier 3. And similar to the home appliances, we'll focus on computers now so that we can grow our settlement to a large town of 1,000 citizens. And at this point, the game takes a little bit of a dip, as you've got to grind a little to unlock the next items. So I highly recommend spending time working on specialist areas and playing around with the traffic. I can certainly see this as a perfect time to play around with pipes or trains when they come to the game. There's also a tool that allows us to create districts similar to skylines. However, this allows us to create various rules for what is exported between the two districts, for example. Whether you want to take just food or oxygen to your habitat area, or whether you want iron from one side of the map exported to the other side. Now this does make logistics and traffic much easier to deal with, right? Right? Well, obviously not, because I've got a bottleneck over here, so I'm really desperate for the highways now. And that becomes even more noticeable having checked out the new tier 4 houses, because I've somehow managed to cause this great British lorry pileup, which explains why we have a lack of lorry drivers at the moment in the UK, thanks to Mr. Reverie here. I'm definitely giving you all the blame. Thankfully, it's a relatively simple fix, but we've still got a long way to go, and with computers on the way, and research on the go, and parks taking people out for their Martian walks, our next stop can only be the large town. That's if we can keep up with demand. As you can see, I'm not producing enough oxygen anymore, so people are actually moving out, or more likely, they're choking to death. Thankfully, despite having less and less workers, what we can actually do is prioritize oxygen generation so that we can actually get back on track for the demand on oxygen. So all we need to do is go over to the slider and pull that to max, and maybe reduce some of the other sliders on where the workers are allocated, and we can actually prioritize getting oxygen back to our populace. But as it is taking workers away from other locations, it can become a bit of a balancing act. But with a bit of time and effort, as well as using that little slider infographic, we can actually grow a thriving colony, which, similar to most factory logistic games, slowly scales with our understanding of the game. And with it being early access, I think it would be fair to worry about the lack of endgame playability, but the sandbox nature of this game, along with the randomized map, growing text tree, and the general development of the game certainly allows for plenty of replayability as is, and I can only guess what chaos will be unlocked with the future updates planned. Now, as you can see, I am now pushing to unlock uranium power that requires yellow science, and no doubt upon reaching the holy grail of power, I'll find myself having another meltdown caused by a lack of lorry drivers doing their job. But while I struggle along with this, I'm actually going to play a bit more of this in stream. Let me know, guys, if this laid back factory settlement kind of simulation is your kind of game, or do you prefer seeing your factory built up in first person? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you're looking for another factory game to itch that itch until update 5, then do check out the link below. But that is all we have time for in this one. Thanks does go to the developers for sending this game through to me, and of course to all of our amazing supporters most notably our solo Eclipse patrons, The Calamity, Cerebral Tag, and James Irwin, as well as our Lunars, Dixie Chris, and Lord of July, as well as our Blood Moon of the Day, which today is Papa Snoozy. Anyway, guys, until next time, as always, ciao for now.